All right, I'm Neil. I am the CMO of ASP, which is the fancy word of Chief Marketing Officer, fancy title that I've got.
Pepper spray is next generation OC spray. It's hot at 1.4% major capsaicinoids, and its modular design means you can customize it exactly to you. 3 different setups, lots of different color combinations. You can make it exactly as you like. And the flip top safety prevents accidental discharges. It's 10 to 12 foot range and 25 half-second blasts. Make sure that you can keep that long range eye poke at long range. I trust Palm OC and I recommend it for everyone for self-defense.
We are not a ginormous company. I think we've got, 17 some odd employees at this point. I do mostly came on to manage marketing. The different relationships with our different sponsors. If you watch, everybody knows what active self-protection is, at least those of you that sat through John's thing. If you don't know what active self-protection is, we're primarily a YouTube channel. John started this thing mostly I think, so that he could not pay taxes on his ammo or something, but it's kind of morphed into this thing, right? It's a pretty significantly sized YouTube channel. We've got 2 channels. We've got a family of apps and a bunch of different things. But primarily what we're known for is taking real life surveillance video, breaking it down, doing an after action report, and learning, what lessons can we learn from this so that we can potentially avoid something else. There is a significant amount of people out there that are into the violence porn, that just watch for the violence and don't maybe stay for the lessons. But if you are open to the lessons, there's a ton of lessons that can be learned. And we can honor the sacrifice of folks that have not done it right. We don't do this to make fun of anybody. We don't do this to ridicule anybody, but it's to honor that sacrifice and potentially have some others maybe not fall down the same rabbit holes or traps that somebody else did. As the active self-protection thing grew, my wife was probably the first employee on the payroll, at least, that basically.
I was the first employee. Come on.
I said on the payroll, and so. So Steph came on. John was just primarily on Facebook, sharing daily lessons on Facebook. And if you've been on social media, you know that potentially the comment section is not the most positive place on the planet, and in some cases turns into a pretty big cesspool, right? And so John asked for some help at one point, and Steph and I had a recent incident that had us thinking, self-defense is something maybe we need to think about. We had 5 small children at the time and had a credible attempt. And so we decided we're going to do something about this. And Steph had been following that active self-protection. She had been following Greg Ellifritz and a few others at that time. I was some redneck guy from South Dakota with too many guns, and all I did was hunt. Didn't have much for pistols, didn't have much for anything along those lines. Self-defense, I was a young bulletproof dude, so that wasn't important to me. But Steph, watching this stuff, and she was the one that had the lion's share of the incident that we lived through, and that's a whole different story I'll tell you at a different time. But she really dove into this. And when John asked for some help, Steph emailed him and said, listen, I don't know much about self-defense, but I know an F-bomb when I see it. And I can delete it out of the comments if you're okay with that. And John said, absolutely, you're in. One thing led to another, to us being at a conference kind of like this, where I asked John, one of the first times I met John face to face, I'm like, what are you going to do with this thing? What's your plan? And he said, well, I want to grow this to the point where I can preach for free. That's what I heard. I don't know if those are the words that he said, but that's what I heard, right? I grew up in a little conservative church in rural South Dakota. That's kind of my life. And I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. What does that take, John? And he's like, well, I need some sponsors. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So again, redneck guy, lots of guns. I don't know anything about self-defense, but I think we were at the NRA, I think that was the Carry Expo when they had that several years ago. And I said, well, who would you want for a sponsor? And he's like, we just got to find some good ones. And I'm like, all right. So I've got a sales background. I've been in sales for most of my adult life. Let's walk around on the floor tomorrow and I will help you. Primarily so that my wife could maintain a paycheck, right? So I wanted enough money coming into the company. And so that morning, the very next morning, we met the guys from Mantis. If you guys do any dry fire, you know who Mantis is. They've been a sponsor of the channel ever since, and I managed that. So that's primarily what I came on to do. I'm also a little bit of a gun school junkie, so I go to classes, and I go to a lot of classes. And probably, I haven't added it up for a while, but I'm probably nearing 1,200 hours of gun school as a student. I don't go there to show everybody who I am. I go there and take as much as I can. Tom Givens is, I've been to just about everything Tom has had to offer. And if there's an instructor in the industry that's, most of the ones that are here talking, I go to their classes. They all have great stuff, tons of good information out there. A little bit more about me here. I've been through the Force Science Institute stuff, some crisis intervention training with one of the sheriff's offices down in Arizona somewhere. I don't know where we drove all night to get to that one, but 40 hours of that. I've got all the NRA basic stuff, Masada Ayub Group, Range Master I mentioned. I've sat through classes from a ton of people. What I have morphed into at this point is I'm on the extra channel, the Active Self Protection extra channel, and then I run our app, the the ASP Unlimited app. But I'm kind of the dry fire guy. We were at a event one time, and we had a pretty well-respected dude in the industry. We'd maybe had a couple of beverages, adult beverages, and we were having I'll say a lively debate. And the debate was, can the average American person that doesn't have the backing of the FBI pass the FBI qualification? And he said that there's just no way that they can do that. They don't have the time, they don't have the resources, they don't have the training to be able to do that. So the average, and John has long said, you know, that's kind of something that if you're a self-defender, it's something you should aspire to be able to pass. If you can't pass it, okay, that's fine, but you should aspire to be able to pass that. And this person was adamantly on the other side of the fence, and I may have downed my second, I probably only had 2 drinks that night, but I might have downed my second one, and I said, I will bet you $100 that I can do dry fire for 6 weeks and I can get people to pass the FBI qual. And he took me up on the bet. I put this together with the Mantis guys. If you watch the channel, it's on the extra channel. I took 11 people through that. 2 of them had never touched a pistol in their life. And in 6 weeks, every one of them passed, that did the work. There were 18 that started. 7 people dropped out through the process just because life happens, and I totally get that. Everybody passed that thing, and I became the dry fire guy. Never got my $100. And this is on video, so you know who you are. Somebody owes me some money. But anyway, you know, so I've really come to the point where I feel like process is the key. And on your worst day, process is what's going to get us there, okay? So that's a little bit about me. Does anybody